Do I hear a very familiar voice on this line with us?
What are you open up to?
Oh, Tommy.
Oh, hey, Tommy. What you up to, bud?
Oh, man, I play this Call of Duty like a demon. It's alternate reality, you know. You get to detach from this bullshit for a minute.
I got you.
Hey, Rocket.
How about you, Brad?
Rolling, man. Rocking and rolling. What's up?
Oh, man, you tell me. What's going on with your mind today?
Well, I tell you right now, I'm actually sitting on a pond bank, and, I like to have deep discussions sometimes. And I'm scared to have deep discussions these days because everything's so polarized, but I figured there are a few things that we could talk about. And I was watching the sunset out here, and I was like, man, my wife was sitting here beside me, had a dog jumping around here, and I saw the sun setting over there, and I was like, it's Sunday, and everybody's been talking about God, and other people have been talking about not God, and they've been talking about agnosticism. And I wanted to see what you guys, people make fun of people who don't always, color in the lines, but sometimes people have other things to say about things. It's like, it's not necessarily just written word, it's not necessarily just this or that or the other, but sometimes there's some intricate color that goes on betwixt those lines. And I thought you guys, because most of you guys can wig out and philosophize, that's a word, sometimes. Tell me, what do you see at the crack of dawn? And then, Donna, I want you to follow up.
Sure. Go ahead, Tommy.
We talking about God?
I want you to talk about what you see at the crack of dawn.
The earth turns towards the sun, so the sun rises.
Well, I think what he was asking, Tommy, is we had a little discussion. We teased it before. We wanted to have a discussion about what it means to be agnostic. And, the fact that, we've had discussions about, we look at the sunset and we look at what's all out there that, something created the heavens and the earth. Some people have a name, and it may be, Muhammad or, the purple spaghetti monster. I mean, but they still have the bigger idea of something bigger than them. And being agnostic just means, God is unknowable. The perfect being created us imperfectly, for a reason. So, but we can't know his plan if we're imperfect. So it's just the realization that, everything that we do to be good people and live good lives, are taught to us as what we accept as what a Christian society is.
Now,
go ahead.
Sorry. Hey, Dolly, you've revealed a lot there. You've revealed a lot. But now, Tommy, agnosticism. I led you on. I wanted you to speak about what you saw at the crack of dawn, and you told me very literally what you saw. But do you see anything deeper there, or is that what you see? Is that it? Is that your philosophy? It's okay if it is. I will not hold that against you, because a lot of people believe that, it's just about, a place and time. What do you think?
I think entirely too much thought and money is wasted on religion. And that money should be put towards, and that mental effort put towards what I'm going to call real issues, like reality based, like actual feeding children and actual helping people instead of talking bad about people.
That's kind of profound, because we don't hear a lot of people who care about stuff right now. Everybody's talking about themselves. I mean, this is the age of narcissism. You can't talk about that, that you sound like a hippie. I mean, that's what everybody's going to say, Tommy. I mean, what do you guys say about that?
Sound like a what?
Well, I'm like, I agree with you. And I think that most people, if they were in their house and you said what you just said to me, or whoever it is, they would agree with you. But when they walk outside their house and they get their bullhorn and they start talking about things, they start talking about something different. Or maybe I'm wrong with that. I mean, do people talk about stuff inside the house and then, I mean, I've seen you on social media. I mean, you talk about what you post. I mean, you're like 100%.
I do not denounce God. I used to. I have said that there's no God, but I've also been wrong before. So I'm just going to leave that to be determined.
Well, and that's totally fine, man.
I behave as if there is.
Yeah, I agree with you. Hey, let me say this, but I'm gonna let Don have a shot. But look here, because the older we get, the more we think about what's actually like, and we see how beautiful this all is. I mean, and of course they'll tell us that evolution can produce the same thing, and the people that do religion will tell us that God made it. And I want to believe it's somewhere in between. I think it's the same message in my mind.
It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter how it is made.
Yeah.
It is. Period. End of discussion. It is here. What are you going to do about it?
Man, it's spectacular to be alive. Go ahead, Donald.
Well, I mean, it's kind of exactly what I mean. I mean, you've only got one existence here. If you're not learning something, every day, then you're dying. And so, just the exercise of, thinking about it, that, being agnostic the way I believe personally, it don't mean I'm an atheist. I believe there's something much, much larger than I am. I just think it's way bigger than what we as humans on this one tiny little ball can ever truly comprehend. And some of the stuff you see in the organized religions and stuff, some folks truly think this is the best thing in the world, and they might need that in their life. I don't down anybody for their beliefs at all. It's if they need it in their life, by all means. I believe in doing things a little different way, but I still feel like I'm a spiritual person. I feel like I'm a good person. I feel like I might not follow every rule in that book, but I think I follow the big ones that make me an okay individual, And if I choose
Tommy,
to believe,
hey, what do you think about morality versus any kind of religion? Is there any correlation there?
What's up?
The correlation between reality, everyday existence, and religion. I mean, do you have to have religion in order to have morality, or can you have it without it? I mean, I'm just trying to think about it. That's what he was saying. He said that he said you could have morality without religion. That's what I heard him say. He can correct it with the next answer, but
you can have a morals. Yes, go ahead.
But now, what do you think? Do you have to have religion have morality, or are we misconceiving what's going on?
Without reality, we would not be here to imagine a religion.
So, in the argument of who made who, God made man or man made God, what would you say? That's kind of deep. That's kind of deep. I understand that, but you can.
We are here. We require certain things to exist: water, food, That's it. Everything beyond that, we impose upon ourselves.
Yeah, I understand that. Like we're just now, from a scientific perspective, trying to understand the human being. And like we talk about, other types of animals don't have, and I say other types of animals, you may not believe that a human is an animal, but I'm going back from that perspective. But there's the assertion that, consciousness makes that even possible, what you were talking about. I mean, you can't internalize what you were just talking about without some kind of a consciousness. And what is consciousness? Is consciousness like God-given, or is it something the brain creates from some molecular structure or some chemicals or something?
All the above. I mean, it's life. Life is an accident. This is all bullshit and an accident. You can do whatever the fuck you want because you can.
Well, so let's go back further. Did you ever believe something different or no?
Did I believe there is a magic man in the sky who snapped his fingers and created everything and knows everything and commands everything and everything is eternal? No.
A lot of people didn't.
Maybe he did.
Maybe
but chances are no. However, I've seen some crazy shit, and there's some funny shit going on, and it's either somebody pulling some strings or I am pulling the strings. You are pulling the strings.
Well, a lot of people, if you get outside your box, because we're Western, Donald and I was talking about this yesterday, we're Western religion, and we're standing in our box. And unless we get out and we stand in the Eastern box and we look back at our Western box, we don't even know that we're in a Western box, Tommy. I mean, we don't know that what you just said is like, that's some deep thinking shit. That's not some stuff that like just popped up. I mean, you had to think about that for a while. You had to study.
I have been around, man. I have been around. What made me, I want to say, like, they call it, like, some dudes that are like trying to become one or something, like when you're at peace with everything, you know what I'm saying? Is when you understand everything by just you got to weed out the bullshit. And it's hard because there's so much bullshit.
Hey,
but if you can weed out the bullshit, everything is clear.
That sounds like very Eastern. Like you've jumped out of the Western box into the Eastern box. Because
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, that's exactly right. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. But like, see, I'm a guy, Lao Tzu, who like the creator of Taoism. Lao Tzu, Kung Fu. Like Kung Fu, it's kind of different. But Lao Tzu, he said the exact same thing. Men that understand the Tao don't talk about the Tao. So you're describing the Tao because I forced you into a situation where you understand the Tao. But do you even know what I mean by Tao or no?
Yeah, I've read some books that have helped me to train my mind to think clearly. And I've had a lot of time by myself and a lot of time to think. And I waste most of my time playing this stupid game. But that's okay. Because I'm a fucking worm that can think and do shit. That's all I am.
Well, I'm going to argue with that a little bit, but I understand, like, I was reading today about Abraham Lincoln and about his mother. His mother passed away at 34 years old. I know you're at least 10 years older than that, because I am.
Well, I'm older than Abraham Lincoln.
Well, so you've been around for a while. And when you're around for a while, you look at things differently. If you've been exposed to that other box that looks back at our box, because you confess that you've heard about the Tao Te Ching. I'm sure you have. You're an educated man in America. I mean, there's a lot of hate toward educated men. You know, we can't do anything but walk a certain line. But, you know, I know that there are people out there, there's 1 in 10 of us, or there's like 20% of everybody that does something a little bit different. And that's what Outside of the Grid is about. It's about discovering what's outside of the little 360 circle or the whatever little 490 stuff we have going on. And I don't want to talk to regular people. Regular people are boring to me. They're neurotypical, is what they call them. But this is a show about the atypical neurology. This is about discovering what's weird out there, and what goes against the everyday grain. That's what it's about. I mean, I don't find the everyday interesting. I see it and I deal with it. I mean, I see a tree growing and I find that spectacular. What about you, Don? What do you think?
Well, I agree. I'll compare the people having to get outside of their box. If you know what Schrodinger's cat is, the cat is alive and dead as long as you don't look in the box. There's a lot. But you got to. But all I'm saying is you've got to be willing to open that box many times to see if find out if it's true. You've got to explore. You got to just not accept everything at face value. Just because you were raised some way don't mean you're a bad person for studying other people's ways. Don't have to follow them. Don't have to believe in them, but you need to respect them. Go ahead.
But now Tommy is outside of that box. I know that Tommy, from like a lot of us, we grow up and we have to conform to whoever's around us. We have to say certain things. We were talking about in the previous podcast that we have not published yet. We'll probably never publish. But it's like we taught our children how to say, if an old woman with white hair walks up to your child and they say, have you been washed in the blood of Jesus? We tell our children, say, yes, ma'am, I have. I love Jesus. Whether you even believe in that full philosophy or not. You can believe that that's part of it. But if you're out there in the world today and you teach your children how to deal with the planet that we're on, the people we're dealing with, surely you are teaching them the big picture. That's what I'm trying to get at. Agnosticism. What is it? I mean, are we fooling ourselves? Is everybody on this whole planet believing the same God? Are we all worshiping the same church? Are we all seeing the same thing when we see a sunrise? That's what I'm trying to tease out. I don't want you guys to argue. I want you guys to tell me. I want you to help me fucking understand this sunset and this sunrise I see tomorrow morning. Am I just an animal out here roaming the savannah, killing what the fuck is available? Or is there something spiritual there?
It all goes back to Schrodinger's cat. Can you hear me okay? I got my headphones on.
I can hear you perfect. You go ahead. Give us some minutes, man. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
All right. They say that if you observe the moon, it is there. Do you agree? Do you agree?
I agree 100%. I watch it all the time. I was watching it and Jupiter this past Thursday. Yes, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
If no one looked at the moon, it would not exist.
Well, of course not, because if it's never been seen, then it can never be entered as to an image of that thing you observed in the sky. You can never imagine something that you haven't seen in some shape or fashion.
I mean, tonight, right now, if no one ever looked at the moon again, it would not exist. And that's the moon is an example. Anything, if it is not observed, it does not exist.
I mean, you're talking metaphors. Go deeper with it. I want to know more about your metaphor. Dig deeper. Let me know about your metaphor.
If humanity imagines a God, then there is a possibility that humanity can create shit. I have created shit. If there's enough people that think about an asteroid hitting the Earth, guess what?
We're going to have an asteroid hit the Earth, that's for sure. Yes, I believe that. Yeah.
I believe that there is a power in thought among a lot of people. If you think the same thing, there may be some power there. There may not be. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that.
What? I studied Jim Morrison. I studied Jim Morrison.
People can do shit.
From the rock stars from the 60s era, like Jim Morrison, he figured out, in fact, he was messed up about it, but like he figured out that if he could raise his arm in the air, that everybody in the crowd would do what?
The same thing.
Yes. So if he's saying, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, Brad, a perfect example of that is what you've been saying, I mean, on many, many of our casts. You are what you think. The power of what you think makes you become either outrageous, a Karen, or just a person that sits there quietly, you know. Go ahead.
Well, if you're all watching the same news channel, that'd definitely help out, for sure.
Oh, God.
Well, I just mean the common belief, the power of thought. You can be a everyday great individual and get to concentrating on something very negative in your life and drag yourself in that area. You become what you think. I'm just commenting on Tommy's thing. There is power in thought.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree.
And this is a known fact, and it is being used by billionaires to get themselves more money.
That's a hell of a deal. Surely no one would fight to make more money. I don't believe that.
No. Well, there's making money, and then there is brainwashing Americans to promote a bullshit agenda.
Well, we all know that's never happened in the United States.
That would never happen.
That only happens in
that only happens in third world countries and places like Colombia where they do a lot of crack.
So let's go back to agnosticism. All we're talking about right there is that we don't believe that God controls everything. Because if you go into a certain churches where we live and you talk to people, they'll tell you that God controls everything. And so if God controls that, I mean, is that a God you worship? I don't understand. I'm trying to understand the stuff I see in the world. You know,
why?
You know, I read this stuff. I'm like,
why do you have to attach God to every fucking thing?
That's what I'm trying to ask. I mean, why is that?
You don't.
To be?
Live your life. God is an invention of man to manipulate people, and it apparently worked pretty good.
Donald, what do you think? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think we're staying a little still too shallow on what it means to really try to be agnostic. You know, it has nothing necessarily to believe with, you know, why does, you know, God have to be attached to things? It's the right of people to believe that. And no matter what the belief is, it's the thing of, you was talking about how I taught my children. I taught my children how to live in our society. If they didn't want to get a bunch of mumbo jumbo, you know, they should say certain things. But now when they were kids, I encouraged them to go to church. I wanted them to learn. This is what is accepted of you. But when they got old enough, you know, I didn't tell them why I didn't attend a lot of church. I just said, Dad has a different choice. And, and then when they got on enough, I made it and said, look, you understand there's more than one way to think about things. You don't have to follow, and I hate to say the word indoctrinated, but that is kind of what it is. We are taught to act certain ways. And you can choose to step outside of that, but you have to be able to open your eyes to the possibility that they might be wrong no matter what everybody else thinks, but you could also be wrong too, But you could also be just not
you're talking
wrong,
about,
but not always absolutely right too.
You're talking about independent thinking.
But it's part of being agnostic. The acceptance that there's not one word that encompasses the name God. Right.
Okay, so let's go into that next. But right now, agnostic means is that we kind of talked about it. Like, there's so many different beliefs. Like even in our little small county, there's 20,000 people in 100 churches. I mean, there's no people that even if you take up for geographical disappropriation, because like the land mass is big. I mean, there's a lot of varied thoughts. So, like, the point of being agnostic is just it's more about doctrinal interpretation. But now let's go, Donald, you were talking about a very good subcategory of that. Lead us on that.
I don't know which one it was.
Well, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, because everybody obviously partaking of the trees, and we'll leave it at that. But so, like, if the explanation of life is what we were talking about. So, like, is there a coordinated spirit out there, or is there just a sense? Is there a Gaia that understands? Is there a God that understands? Is there a Jesus out there that controls everything? Or did they maybe, way back there, put things in motion? I mean, that's a big discussion I hear now. I mean, are you communicating with God daily, or is he too big for you to understand? I mean, I remember reading about a verse in the Bible called where God said to humans, or where they were talking about God, humans that understood God or even have a grasp of it, said he's unknowable. I mean, are we fooling ourselves with trying to understand God every day, or what's going on with that? I mean, agnosticism. Can we understand God even if there is a God? Will we even understand what it is?
It's not worth thinking about. It's not worth wasting money and thought on. Just be nice. Don't be a dick. That's it.
Well, I don't disagree with that. That sounds like Christianity to me, which is like the golden rule. But nobody wants to hear it. Nobody I know that talks about religion wants to talk about Christianity, which is the red letters of the Bible. And we all know what the Sermon on the Mount is. The Sermon on the Mount is the whole exposition of Christianity. And if you go back and you look at that, that says exactly what you're saying. So all you're telling me with that is that you're a Christian. I mean, but you've had a lot of Christian influence in your life. Am I wrong or what?
I'm pretty sure that's in every religious text. Be nice, don't be a dick. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out.
Oh, that's a very. So let's talk about these other religions out there. I mean, everybody always talks about those goddamn over barrel people. I want to know about some other religions. Have either of you two ever looked at another religion? I mean, do you understand what's going on with it? Do you understand the very basic? Can you look outside of your box that you're standing in and standing inside of another box, even minimally intellectually, and look back at your box and say, this is how this box fits from that box. This box has round corners, this one has square corners, this one has brown tones here and white tones there. I mean, what what are some other religions out there? What do they say different than Christianity? He brought it up. He said there's some very basic tenets. I mean, are they all the same? Are they different? What?
Pretty sure Republicans worship money.
Well, I mean, I watched that movie, and I like money. I like money. What's it called? Idiocracy? I like money.
You worship it?
No, I like money.
You idolize it?
I think it's pretty cool that you like money too, but yeah. Yeah, I don't worship. No, I live on a place that has a pond, dude. You don't worship money if you live on a place that has a pond, because that's a waste of fucking money. I mean, you know I don't, but who does?
You sound disturbed about money.
Disturbed. Yeah, that's a good thing for my buddy. And hey, we ain't talking about the band either. Well, I looked into other religions and stuff, and a little more than just on the surface. I mean, I wanted to try to just get an idea because, again, at a very young age, I've a busy brain. I just can't make my head shut up. And so even at a young age, I went to church. I was thought to be a good Southern boy and do my thing. And I, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, said my prayers. I did all my stuff, but I still always questioned. I could never truly get a satisfactory answer for me. And so I had looked into the, some of the Easterns, the Taoism, the Buddhism, some of the ones where you try to kind of like, when you was talking about Taoism, that, just let it be, try to be one with everything, and be nice and don't be a dick.
Yeah.
And but there are some of the others that are a little more radical. They have their reasonings for it. I can't understand them, but again, I'm not a very dyed in the wool. I believe everything that is written by. If we are imperfect, then we cannot, as the imperfect people, put things on paper and interpret it through time and expect it not to be influenced by greedy people from other places that had different viewpoints for what they wanted things to be. So, I have to look to find things that give me enough to go, well, at least for the most part, everybody knows how to live long. There is a guide, and it's pretty much in all the religions if you look deep enough. Be nice, don't be a dick. There's a little more deeper to that, but, there's a coincidence at a base level, but then it varies. And I think that goes back to, hey, people just got different point of views, and everybody can't agree on nothing. That's why there's, like I say, 5-6 churches right down Main Street, 2-mile strip in our local town. So, yeah.
All of us on this phone call, and if we go speak to anybody else that you ever talk to in your community, we have an outside thing we have to blast. It's a marketing thing. I've been involved in marketing forever. I understand there's certain things you got to stand for, and of course, we all have particular paradigms. Donald mentioned that word today earlier. A paradigm is a lens.
2010.
We view the world, and those paradigms. I first learned about paradigm in 1990 when I graduated high school. I read that 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And, I learned about a paradigm. It's like the lens through which we view the world. And if we've been taught a certain thing all of our lives, then it's kind of hard to unteach that. But if you look back, if you travel a little bit, if you go more than 50 miles from where you live at, and if you really go like 1,000 miles away, you really learn something. Now, Tommy, you talk about being in Greece. To me, the other day, you said you experienced a Mexican beer in Greece. What was the experience like? If you talk to people, if you had a general sense of people, in other places you visited, and I'm talking about other Western places like Greece, which apparently you visited in the Navy.
Yeah.
What
for food?
Tell me about your experience with that. I want to know. I don't want you to. I want you to fucking dig deep and tell me about how you interpreted people there. I mean, how did it change you? What did you sense from them about how they grasped the world? Tell me about it.
Okay. Well, specifically in Corfu, it was one of my favorite port of calls. We got off the boat, and it's a little island, and it's beautiful. It's the people they don't do nothing. They just sit around and chill. And as far as I could tell, I ordered a ham sandwich. I ordered a hamburger, actually, at a little place, and they brought me a ham sandwich, which was fine, but it was just a little language barrier. You know what I'm saying? Hamburger, they didn't know what a hamburger was. They heard ham, though. It was a delicious sandwich. I walked around with a friend of mine, and I like history. I like archaeology, and I went to this little museum, and there was some 2,000-year-old old carvings and shit. They were like digging up outside on the street. You could see excavations going on, digging up history. And there was a sign that said Tomb of Menocrates or Menocrates. And me and my friend set off to look for this tomb. And I thought I saw it on this hill, and I went up to this big wall and started banging on this door. And I heard a rustling up at the top of this wall, and I stepped back and looked up, and it was this dude. And he cocked his machine gun and pointed it at me. And it turned out it was a jail. I had walked up on a jail and started banging on the door. I didn't know. So I turned tail. Me and Buddy took a few steps back and turned tail, and we ran for blocks.
I bet you were glad you were wearing brown pants that day, wasn't you?
Yeah. Hey, I don't speak Greek. He was speaking Greek to me. So that was cool.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. He said something. And I didn't, we just stood there and looked at each other. And then he went and got his gun and cocked it and go, okay, I understand now. Get the fuck out of here.
My language.
Yeah, now you're speaking. He cocked his gun and pointed. Okay, go away. Gotcha. Universal language. No translator needed.
Muy imprehendo, yes.
Gotcha. Oh, that was fun. So I'll never forget looking for the tomb of Menocrates or Menocrates. I don't know.
But now, if you ever interacted with anybody there, I mean, did you see crosses? Did you see other religious indentations? I mean, what is religion like in Greece? I mean,
yeah,
Greece is
okay. I did have a little bit of a thing. I went into a tiny little silver shop, little jewelry shop, and they had a bunch of silver shit. And I found a necklace that I liked, and it was a double-headed axe, silver necklace, and I bought it. And I had it for years. I don't have it anymore. And it turns out that double-headed axe is a symbol of the Greek culture, and I don't remember what it represents, but it's their thing, their symbol. Double-headed axe.
The word Altheon comes to mind. I don't know why, but anyway. So you bought one and you carried it with you for a while. I mean, did you wear it or did you just like carry it in a bag, or how'd you move it?
No, I'm pretty sure I wore it for a long time. It was a tiny silver axe with a blade coming out both sides of the top. They were I want to say sharp on the tips, like curved. They weren't flat axes. They were curved, and they were sharp on the top corners of the axe and the bottom.
So if you studied it that much, then you study the history of it. I mean, what did it mean? I mean, how did it change you? I mean, did you carry that around close to you and knowing the dynamics and the history? Did it change you?
Not the axe, not the necklace, the whole experience. I mean, there's a fortress, there's a citadel, a fortress on this island that has been there for thousands of years, and it was carved out of the earth by people like an anthill. And I crawled around. I mean, not crawled, but walked around in this old fort, basically, that had been used back in Jesus' time and before.
Yeah. Keep on.
This old island had been there forever, and this is just a tourist trap today. You know, they got bars and whatnot, but just get a better understanding of how long that we have been doing this. America is 250, 300 years old. You go to these other places, you see that it's not 300 years old. The world isn't 300 years old.
Okay, I want to go a little bit deeper with you. Now, you traveled around, and like me, and like Don. I've lived in dormitories. I've stood in line for long hours to do certain things. And your experience out there, these people you came across, these different beliefs and all that. How different is it than what we do here? I mean, is it the same thing? I mean,
it's the same. It's all the same. America has a lot more distractions. We like to be distracted all the time. We like all of our different candies and TV shows and movies and automobiles. We like variety, and they're just not. It's not a lot of times. There's not as much distractions, and there's not as much variety over there, and that's not a bad thing. It's just different. It's just.
But now
we're spoiled rotten.
Well, we are, but I bet there are probably very religious places to be, and I bet there are very places that are not religious.
America is.
Tell me about it.
Most countries, it's not in your face. In America, it's in your face. I don't like it. Get out of my fucking face.
I mean, like, say in England, I mean, surely, That's
No. These guys paid attention in fucking class, okay? Darwin, they said, okay, gotcha, and moved on. America? No. Fucktards.
So, let me ask you a question. I have been raising children recently, and I was talking to a child the other day that has completed all of his high school studies. And we were talking about what we learned in school versus what we're going to learn in college, which is a very important thing to talk about with your young man. And do you know that he, in the context of school, now on the side, he learned about it from 2013 when I first showed him Lucy. But in the context of school, in the area we live, he's never, they don't teach evolution here. Could you believe that's even true or not? I mean, do you believe that? I mean, is he lying to me? What do you think?
If you go to a religious school, they're not going to teach you evolution.
No, he goes to a public school in our area.
Do I believe it? Yes.
Does it scare you? I mean, does that scare you that they don't even touch that topic in the school? I mean, that's pretty scary. that's producing people that don't understand what's going on if you pay attention to the bigger global view, right or wrong. I mean, if you get produced out of the world not knowing about Lucy, are you at a competitive disadvantage or not? Is it good or bad? I don't know. What do you think?
Did Trump get elected?
I mean, he did once.
Exactly. Because we're fucking stupid, apparently. Because, damn. Really? Really?
But there's no.
Really?
Let's don't hate. But why is that, though? Why would people believe anything that would be out of proportion to what a lot of people that's traveled the world in the military?
Because not many people have traveled the world. Not many people have been to college. There are way more stupid people. There are way more undereducated and uninformed and untraveled people than there are traveled people and people with some learning beyond high school, college.
I know some people that are welders, like, they learn.
And that's not saying that you can't go beyond that on your own, because you can. But I'm just saying that there are billions of more people that are not well educated. And they thought, apparently.
Well, and I agree, and I get what you're saying, but there's so much more available for people. Why is, like, right now, like whenever you and I and Donald grew up in the 1980s and 70s, our parents taught to us, go to college. Now everybody's like, go to a 2-year school and learn a particular trade. Don't look up. Keep your head down. Run a perfect fucking bead. Make lots of money. Shut the fuck up. I mean,
that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
I agree, but you're not thinking about shit.
In the long term, we're going to kill ourselves off, because you can't keep voting. You can. It's a stupid. Do you want stupid people running the country?
I mean, I think that I used to have faith in government. I was looking at a study the other day where everybody said that they were like in the year we graduated high school, or year that we were all like turning 16 to 18, like 89, 90, something like that. The trust in government was 64%. Now it's 32%.
Yeah.
It's not even.
Because Trump lied every day, 100 times a day, for 4 years. He destroyed this country. He's still destroying this fucking country because he's a fucktard.
There's not a lot of people that agree with you on that. Tell me. I mean, I'm not going to say I agree or disagree with you. I want to know how you come to this consensus. Let's break it down. Let's see. There's like 4 or 5 different dimensions that you can judge somebody. Let's just take a personality thing, like say openness. So like openness is to be like openness to new ideas, a global expansion. I mean, from what I see a Christian nationalism that follows him. I don't see any kind of global, and people seem scared of global. I don't. What do you think about all that? The global. How does that intermix with the United States?
Okay. Leading up to the election of Donald Trump, there were attempts and successes by the Russian spy units to spread violent extremist viewpoints around the world. He succeeded. The Republican Party works with the Russian government and the Russian spies to manipulate Americans.
Let's slow down.
To deceive Americans. To make Americans hate Americans.
I don't know if all Republicans do. That's because I think that some do. I think there's a group of them that do. And I would love to see the ones that don't. because I know there's a lot of good Americans out there, and every day you and I both meet good Americans. But there are people that are brainwashed by this guy. He was on TV for like 12, 14 years, and everybody that was, these people were making $130,000 a year. They're living in, big brick houses. They watch TV every day. I mean, come on.
So
no reason to hate
stupid. I like that, man. I just don't understand because I'm not stupid.
I mean, I get it. I had a hard time understanding. But to me, and I'm not going to say that I'm going to say that because I respect the man as a brilliant marketer because I've been in marketing my whole life and I've never seen anybody sell what this guy sold. So, like, I respect him from that perspective.
He sold the United States of America to Russia.
Well, I
don't know. That Philip guy sells pretty good.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Mike Lindell. That guy right there. You talking about symbiotic relationship. What is that?
He's a shoe salesman, right?
I mean, he sells pillows. He's not Al Bundy. Al Bundy sells shoes, but this guy is the same kind of character, but he sells pillows.
Yeah. It just irks me to no end to watch these car salesmen lie to Americans, and they just lap it up. It just irritates me to no end.
Why? I want to know why. It's been agnostic. I don't believe in any kind of extremism, whether it be Trumpism or Nancy Pelosiism. I don't believe in any of that shit. I don't worship politicians. I've never seen I've been alive for 50 years, Tommy and Donald. I've been alive 50 years. I have never seen anybody worship politicians. Maybe other than Ronald Reagan, they didn't worship him like everybody thinks they did when he was alive. It became after he died that everybody started worshiping. So I've never seen anybody worship any politician ever until recently. And I'm not going, this is a very peculiar thing for Americans because the thing that all of us fought for since the World War II and Nazism all the way through the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and the 90s, some weird shit happened in 2001. We had this, planes crash into the World Trade Center, and that changed everything. We all became a fucking we became under a magnifying glass. Everything you sent was fucking recorded, and they told you can't do a fucking thing. I mean, so this is where it's changed.
Yeah.
Republicans. When I was a kid, I lived with these people. They told me to make me mine. They said, Jesus records everything you say and lets parents hear it every night. That was like later on in life, when I became a parent, I was like, that's bullshit. But so you see what I'm saying? It's like there's people they've been propagandized. They hadn't been taught evolution in school. They ain't been taught shit. They've been taught how to play tic-tac-toe and how to weld. They ain't been taught about anything intellectual. They don't want to learn anything intellectual.
That's not true. This is by design of the Republican Party. Because the smarter you are, you can see you are being manipulated. And the Republicans don't want you to see that you're manipulating half of America because they will lose money. And they don't want to lose money
but they
because
carry the flag, Tommy.
Their God. That's their fucking God. It's money. They will lie to you all day long and tell you whatever you want to hear, but it's money.
No, it's a flag, Tommy. I'm telling you, it's a flag. They carry the flag everywhere. That's what determines everything, right? Or am I wrong? I don't know.
It's money. Money.
Well, if that is their God, going back to being agnostic, I believe that if there's something bigger, it's not being an atheist. It just means you are allowed to question. You can think for yourself. Most things come down to very binary answers. You will choose to better yourself or you won't.
Republicans
the people who don't have...
Hold on.
They have to have people tell them what to think.
Well, I think that what you're talking about is the hypocrisy of it. So, like, if you're going to say that you're going to decide for yourself, you need to decide for yourself. That's what he's saying. It's like they're saying that they're being told by some preacher in the woods how to interpret a 2,000-year-old book that was actually written in 1604 or whatever year it was. Well, Breaking told us, Donald. I don't know. What year was that the King James Version came about? Y'all want to go into agnosticism comment? I want to do it or not. I don't know. I mean,
it was like 1,000 years after his. I don't know.
Well, yeah.
They just found a ring. They found a ring with a likeness of Jesus on it. It was the oldest ring. He's depicted as the Good Shepherd, which I admire Jesus. I think that his teachings are important, and you should listen to the man, especially when he says, fill your vessels with water so I can turn them to wine.
I mean, I don't think you'll get anybody disagreeing with that particular assertion right here. But so on another level, though, let's go back. I mean, a lot of people that talk about religion talk about old time stories, and they talk about how some stories repeat themselves over and over again. You talk about Mithra, and you talk about astrotheology, and you talk about all these different things. And you talk about the Roman Empire, and you talk about how the Roman Empire adapted a particular religion, Christianity, to be their religion after it wasn't for a long time. And then you talk about this particular religion just growing because the Roman Empire was very powerful. They had roads and weapons, and they smashed over everything, and they let you keep your little church. In fact, they wanted to use it for their own church to gather money, and they took over some of your holidays, and they have Easter the same thing, and Christmas, and they call it this and that and the other, and they have different names for it, but it all became under the Christianity enterprise.
Well, the short version of that story is it collapsed the Roman Empire, and they destroyed the Roman Empire.
I mean, we seem to be headed that way right now if you look at some of the stuff that I see, the authoritarian stuff. I mean, I almost feel like, I'm not trying to even guess this, but like some of the stuff that's been wiped back by the Supreme Court, I'm like going, man, I almost feel like all those people that worked during the 40s and 50s and 60s and the 70s, I think that all of their work kind of went to the wayside. So we're basically essentially living in the 1940s, and it seems like we're headed for a recession, and that sounds like really fucking sucky to me. I mean, I don't understand what kind of rule we have going. I don't understand the leadership that we have going on. I don't know why. It's not even the leadership. It's the populace. In fact, if you watch all the news shows, they'll tell you that the population is driving it. They're supporting the guy that does the 1940s shit so he can enrich himself, that people are following for some mysterious reason that nobody can seem to fucking understand. Why are people worshiping upon the throne of the golden calf of Donald Trump? Why? I don't get it. I'm trying to understand middle America Christianity here, man.
Because they don't know what else to do. They're cornered.
And when you say they're, you're talking about where we are, you and I.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we're cornered by ideology, and there's reality. When you say knock on wood, you knock on wood. That's reality. You feel it. It's real. And then there's ideology, which could be obviously anything, but it is a tool used by manipulative people to get what they want, which is always money or the power to get more money. This is their God. And until we address the elephant in the room, we're going to repeat the same mistakes that have been repeated for the past 10,000 years, which is, don't be dumb. Don't be stupid. Don't repeat the mistakes that have already been done. But again, this boils down to the Republican Party. It has manipulated the school system, the judicial system, every system that they can get their hands on to enrich their billionaire owners. They don't give a shit about anything but money. Period.
Liz Cheney or Donald Trump? Because I think there's two different Republican parties. I think there's a Trumplican, and I think there's
they all vote Republican. It's the same party.
But do they drink the same Kool-Aid?
They drink the same fucking Kool-Aid. They're all brainwashed, as far as I can tell.
Hey, I'd like to interject a comment real quick, going back to something you said before we got back on the politics. You made a comment about that the act of someone having faith, is kind of can be used as a manipulating tool, and you're right, it absolutely can. But I don't think it's a waste, because sometimes the act of being asked to have faith in something can actually give you some faith that you didn't know you had in you for. So the act of having, I don't. What?
I'm not against faith.
Well, no. I didn't say you were against it. I was just saying the comment of, it's used to manipulate. I just want to point out, yes,
most often,
it can be used to, but it also can be used to something, to give something they need. Someone needs something like that. And again, that's where I'm going back to the thing of, I just don't know. And I can admit that I don't know, and just accept that. Go ahead.
I love what Donald's saying right there, because we talked about this. I'm going to tie it back to a previous attempt we tried to talk about this. But, people sometimes go to the wrong thing for the wrong thing. And what I'm trying to say is that you don't go to science for religion. You don't go to, the moon looking for water. You already got it here. So what you got to do is you got to look in the right place for the right thing. I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think this has been an hour-long conversation.
Well, it's been interesting.
It's been very interesting. Yes, it has. Hey, and I had a point there, but I forgot where I was going. But yes, that's a good point. I loved it, guys. This is rock and roll. This is rock and roll right here.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll, baby.
Love
you guys. Y'all be cool.
All right, man.
Take care.
Y'all have a good one.
All right.